Hello, welcome to today's training. This is Darla LeDoux. I am here with Ashlie Woods, and we are going to talk about the action in Sourced Magic in Action. So, Ashlie, I'm going to just check and make sure everything is cool with the broadcast. Will you just share a little bit? You and I conferenced and thought about what does this group need. We are here really, really committed that this isn't just an insight, but that it actually makes a difference for people. Can you speak to why we created this action?
Sure. Yeah, because there's, so a lot of you are taking the quiz, you're coming into the group, you're expressing some ahas around your magic and seeing how your magic has already shown up in your life and your business. You're seeing that you're multi-magical, and there's an interest that you have or you've been expressing in to how do I then take this magic into my business in a bigger way. It's like, okay, aha, I can see that I do this. This is really great. Yes. Oh my gosh, I read the recognition and it's just like me, and here's how I do it. But then there's this place of, now what? I see my magic, I can see how it works, and what exactly do I do with it? And it seems to be that maybe there's something that is missing when it comes to actually translating that magic into action in your life or in your business. So as Darla and I were talking about that, it was like, how can we support people in getting into motion with their action so that they can really discover where it's most useful, what needs to shift in their business, how they can support themselves in being in it more often. Like that. That was kind of the conversation we were in.
Yes. Thank you. And I know you and I both have experience with this in our own worlds, in our own lives, of being really good at understanding things. Mentally. And having to learn that that's not enough, right? Like just understanding it doesn't actually make the difference. And so, that's a common theme in both of our stories. And so we wanted to share a little bit with this commitment to, one, getting you in action. So this isn't just another thing that you learned, but also for us to understand too, how is this work really making a difference for the people who are going through this process and taking the quiz and taking this program. And so I really do want to invite people to interact with us, post your questions, post your insights, because this is a co-created space as well, right? The more you're in action versus sitting there waiting for us to kind of, I don't know, Ashlie, I've seen people say this, like, just do me, right? Like, I'm going to raise my hand and you just fix me. But this is a co-created process. So that's the goal. So please do share, please interact. Because understanding alone doesn't move the needle, and actually like doing it alone doesn't move the needle. Like I used to always feel like if I just get all the information and I just have time by myself to figure it all out, like that's going to make the difference. But it really never, ever, ever in the history of my life ever has. It's always in action, co-creating energetically in the moment with other humans that actually broadens my energy field and my understanding and my self-concept and self-awareness. And that really is what makes the difference. So I'm going to share just a little bit about, so that's a bit about why we are doing this conversation. The other reason we're doing this conversation is because we really know that being in action makes a difference. And we've already created a next step, which is called Sourced Magic Business, which is a container to help you actually put this like new concept of magic in action in your business. And so we are launching that program. It starts July 13th, and we have 2 spots open. And so just right away at the top of this, I want to let you know we have 2 spots in this container to study with us and take this work deeper. So I'm going to put that link in the chat so that if you are someone who, as we move through this, you really feel like I would love some support for this, because it, left to our own devices, we default to understanding it and figuring it out versus, for me with having support, it's like I get the nudge to actually go act before I think I'm ready, and to learn in the way that's actually organically how we learn and transform. So that starts July 13th. Again, there's 2 spots open. At the end of this, I think Ashlie will share how, if you have questions for her and you want to chat with her about if that's right for you, if the spots are still open, she'll open that up to talk to you about it. So in this conversation, we are going to talk about the 4 sacred structures of a sourced magic business. And these 4 structures we dive deeper into in this program, but I'm going to share them with you here and help you to kind of feel into what does that look and feel like for you in your life and business. We're going to talk about them in a way that actually centers your magic. So we're not going to do anything with the specific magics here, but we're going to speak in general terms about your magic. So just take a moment and remember, which of the magics really resonate for you, speak to you: vibration, compassion, expression, expansion, sensation, and recognition, right? And people are multi-magical, and you might have a couple of them that really are speaking to you right now. So take a moment and just remember that, because as we walk through these structures, the goal is you get to use more of that, and you get to get paid for using that, as opposed to getting paid for all the stuff that's really hard and then shoving the magic in kind of in the back door, which is what a lot of people do. So that's one of our goals. And then we're also going to bring in some fellow magicians who have really put this work into action into their businesses and gotten on the court, right? Like before it was super comfortable, got on the court and started to show up differently in their business. So you'll be able to ask them questions as well. Please do ask questions. Please share and participate. So Ashlie, I'm going to dive in to the 4 sacred structures. I'm going to introduce Ashlie. I'm assuming everybody here has met you because we've been live in this group before, but my co-host today is Ashlie Woods. She is the lead coach on Team Sourced. She works privately with some of our clients in a 6-month container. She is also a co-facilitator of the class I just mentioned, and overall an amazing human who's committed her life to transformation as well. Ashlie, is there anything you want to say to be seen and known here?
I love that the conversation is about action. Like it's really a deep commitment that I have for anybody that's in this group, that you're living an embodied expression of who you really are in the world. And that gets expressed when you open your mouth, make the call, ask the thing, you get into motion. So I'm all about that. I am like your cheerleader here in your corner. Nothing brings me more joy than seeing people like really unleash their true expression in the world. So I'm here for that.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. So guys, ask any questions, even if questions are bubbling up right now, or you want to share even just where you're tuning in from, but also, what difference has it made so far for you just to kind of get a name and a framework around the way you work? And that's really the goal. I was reading something this weekend that spoke to the more we can name it and claim it, the more we can walk through the world sourced, right? Where we're not separate from, who we're meant to be, because we have language. And I was like, yes, that's exactly what this magic is this is about naming and claiming it. It's not about putting you in a box. It's about giving you the place to actually have words to own it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So, hi, Marilyn. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes. And then we have Austin, Texas in the house. Whoop, whoop. Naming it and seeing it is so powerful. Yes, yes. And if you can put your names in, I don't know if you can do that after you join, but that would be awesome. So we can call you out personally. So there are 4 structures I want to share, and we're going to dive deep into the first 2. And what's interesting is the second 2 kind of work themselves out in a way when we get the first 2. So the first sacred structure is having structure around your energy. Energy. So number 1 is energy. In my book that I released recently, Shift the Field, we talk about energy, right? And there's default energy and there's sourced energy. And default energy is where we go when we're trying to stay safe. When our ego comes in and wants to protect us, it wants to keep us from doing anything too risky. Default energy is based in the past, right? Something that happened in the past where we said, if I behave this way, I'll survive this situation. And now we start behaving this way all the time. One of the ways could be thinking about it, right? Figuring it out, figuring out how to survive and stay safe. So that's our default. Our sourced energy, on the other hand, it arises in the present moment, and it's a true expression of who our soul came here to be. And we might be working different sourced energies, right? It's alive for us. We might be working different sourced energies at different times in our life and in our business, but there's a distinct difference in how we feel when we're in default. We're kind of run-of-the-mill, not expecting magic to happen every day, right? Versus when we're in sourced and life is being created in this moment. I know everybody, well, actually, I don't know this. I'm guessing everybody who's here has had some experience of this, of like life being, dull or heavy or feeling forced, as opposed to life feeling like, I don't know how life is going to go right now, but I'm so excited to find out. It feels alive and vibrant, and I'm ready for it. And that really is the difference. What I want to really share about this as it relates to sourced magic in action and this tool is that when we are in default energy, we can learn all of these new things, but it's always coming in through the same old filter. In other words, when our default is running the show, we can't see clearly. We're just kind of getting it through the same filter. And this is why action is so important. This is why we've got to get on the court, because without getting on the court, we can't actually catch our energy filters in action. So, like, we might intuitively be feeling like, oh, if I do this thing, I'm coming from the wrong energy and it's not going to work. And so I'm just going to wait until I'm perfect and then I'll do the thing. But the truth is, and we have to do the thing to actually see our energy filter, right? We have to get in action to actually see what energy we're in based on how it goes and the feedback we get in order to capture that and transform it. Like, we can't just do it by thinking about it. So I'll share an example, and then Ashlie, I'll ask, what's present for you. So as an example, I learned about coaching many, many years ago. Gosh, it's going on 20 years ago. I was in my corporate job. I was trained as a coach in my company to help facilitate working relationships between two people. And I loved it. I was like in love with it. I thought, why doesn't everybody know this? Because we helped people really discern what their judgments were about the people they were working with. And I thought it was amazing. And I just couldn't seem, I knew I wanted to do this for a living, but I just couldn't do it. And year after year went by, and I just was like, I couldn't see how I could actually make it work. And so finally an opportunity presented itself for me to teach high school. It just showed up in my field and I said yes. And it made no sense and it was very scary, but I knew where I wasn't using all of my skills. And so I thought, well, I can teach and I can sneak in coaching, right? I don't know if has anybody else ever like taken a gig and thought, I'll just sneak in the coaching. That's what I was doing. But what was amazing is actually making that change let me see how I changed my situation, but I brought the same energy with me. So I was really just doing more of the same in a different place. Mm-hmm. But had I not made that change, I would have never known that. I wouldn't have been able to see it had I not gotten in action, right? I'd still probably be sitting in corporate reading self-help books, right? Mm-hmm. And I was reading all of these self-help books through the same default energy filter. And so it made no difference until I got on the court and I made the change, because I could see, oh my gosh, it's me. I'm bringing this to the table. And I got support to shift my energy field. And all of a sudden teaching became a totally creative experience because I was showing up differently and I didn't have those same complaints over and over and over again. So the reason this story pops to mind is if you're getting this report and you're getting this information about your magic, but you still have some energy, the energy I had at the time was I have to do everything myself and I know best and nobody else can do it. And so if it's to be, it's up to me. That was kind of my energy field, which was totally inconsistent with being a coach, right? So it makes sense why I couldn't, take that step. But when I became a teacher and I saw myself doing the same things and thinking the same things, then I had the chance to actually shift it. So in our Sourced Magic business program, we actually have an experience to help people see what is the default energy I've been living in. Because our default energy is judging our magic, right? If it wasn't, we would already be out there using it. And so we've got to catch it in action. We've got to get on the court. So, over the course of the last year during quarantine, right, when we weren't hosting retreats, I knew it was really an opportunity to help create a similar transformational experience virtually. And that's what we do in that program is we get on the court. Mm-hmm. So Ashlie, what's present for you in this area of energy as a way to work with your magic?
That the energy with which we take an action is important, is more important than the action itself, but we don't always distinguish the energy until we get moving. So what's present is the best you're going to do if you don't shift your energy is a slight improvement of the past, maybe like a little bit of an improved version of the past, but it's basically going to be more of the same. And I've done that so many times. Like I've been the person that took the actions that I thought I knew to take, but because my energy hadn't shifted, my results didn't either. And then I kind of wonder, like, why am I having such a hard time filling this program, right? I'm doing what there is to do. Why is it so hard to fill this program? But it's because I was still coming from the same energy. Nothing had changed. Yes. And then you have that experience where something clicks in and the energy shifts and then 3 people just show up for the program that you didn't even ask. It's like, holy shit, where did that come from? Like magic.
Yes. Right? And had you not created the program and taken steps to enroll that didn't work, you would have never actually had the opportunity to make that shift. Yeah. And people get so defeated, right? And especially our magic is so special to us, right? Even if we can't see it and we're judging it, it's like we so badly want it to be seen that it feels so vulnerable. So the moment in that example, something doesn't work, it's really easy for people to very quickly go, oh, forget it. I'm going to run back to safety. That didn't work. As opposed to having this full-on commitment to getting all the juice out of it. Not a commitment to making it work. Like you can't force it to work, right? but it's like get the commitment to fully showing up in it and being someone who understands how to shift the energy and show up in it and follow through.
That precious moment of stepping out as an expression of sourced energy and then coming up against, what doesn't work or what isn't quite aligned yet is such a important phase. And that's a place where it's so vital to have community or support. Like that's the place that left to our own devices, we crawl back and shrink down because it is vulnerable and it is scary. And thank God we have people around us who are like, nope, keep going. You can do this. You've got this.
Yeah.
Keep us showing up until it sticks.
And to help interpret it through the sourced energy versus through the default.
Right.
Because the default's always going to create an interpretation that causes us to shrink back to the perception of safety.
Yep.
And any action, any result can be interpreted through sourced or default.
Yep.
And, I think it shows up so often in relationship where it's like, okay, on the one hand that, I have a friend who's doing a lot of online dating, right? And it's like, well, on the one hand, this could be amazing, but on the other hand, it's also right. And you could interpret that either way. And so having support to actually see clearly how that energy is affecting your interpretation is so important. Okay, I'm loving this comment here. My default energy is about doing what makes sense. And I seem to make all my decisions in this energy. And then I'm unhappy once the decision is made, but I can't see how to get out of the cycle. That's so profound.
All about making decisions that make sense.
Do you want to say
well, I just think for the longest time, my intuition would come in and speak to me. There would be a knowing, like go left or do this thing, right? Go left. And it would shoot from my body, which is where I get my hits, right? Like it would shoot from this knowing in my body up to my head, and my head would try to understand it or explain it. And if I couldn't explain it in a way that seemed reasonable or make sense, then I would just discount it. Then I would spin my wheels for a couple of weeks until I finally did the thing that I already knew to do weeks ago, but talked myself out of because it didn't make sense. Yeah. So the make sense trap has gotten me more than once for sure. But my commitment is to be so attuned to my magic and how source works with me that when I feel the nudge and the pull, I don't waste energy or time questioning it. I just move.
And doesn't it feel so good? Regardless of how the outcome goes, like that moment of saying, I just trust myself feels so good. You just want more of it.
Yes. It's enlivening.
It is. And that's what sourced energy is. So guys, we got to shift the energy, and we need to be adept at the language of energy. And this person says, loving the community aspect. Yeah. And have a community of people who honor that, and who can be in the nuance of it versus the hard and fast make sense rules that our black and white patriarchal society has created before us, right? Like we're moving past that. We are moving past that. Yes. So I'm going to move to the next thing. That was such a great segue. The make sense trap can also affect number 2 sacred structure, which is expression. So when we're in sourced energy, we have a better time deciding. So expression is all about when, where, and how do I show up? It's that simple. When, where, and how do I show up? So this totally translates to your personal life as well. But primarily, I think about this as your marketing, your expression, your brand, right? When, where, and how do I show up? And this is so personal. This is a personal journey. And what I find so interesting, and I'm so excited to bring our guests on to share their own kind of transformation around this. What I find is that, there's so much being sold about how to market because we struggle with this so much. We struggle with this so much, this expression, knowing when, where, and how to show up. And I have one distinction I want to share, and this came through loud and clear this morning that it wants to be shared here. This is a common thing that I see when it comes to expression, right? How are you marketing? How are you showing up? How are you being seen, getting visible? How that relates to our magic, okay? So your magic is brilliant, and you probably are. It's probably a lot easier to see how brilliant it is for your clients and for other people than to see how brilliant it is for you. What happens is we have a wound, and everybody's is different, around being seen, around our expression. Everyone can think of, I'm sure, a time when they were shamed for their expression. They were too much. They were too what? They should not be seen. Whatever it is, right? And all we want is to be really seen. But we have learned how to show up carefully in a way that doesn't trigger anybody, right? So we can get the result we want and stay safe and stay in community. And that's our default energy, right? Helps us to be in this pre-planned expression of who we are because it's easier and it feels more safe. And yet the thing we want more deeply than anything is to be seen. But we can't be seen when we're in default energy. Like some version of us is being seen, but we're not being seen. And here's the deal. We have to see ourselves. And this is why the magic is so important, because it helps you see yourself. And when we can fully see ourselves, we can stop worrying so freaking much about if we're doing it right and if people are going to see us. So if we can see ourselves, then we can just show up as ourselves, and we can trust the other humans in our lives to see what they see, which they're going to see what they see anyway. Right? Even as much as we try to control it, they're going to see what they see anyway. Right? I mean, it's crazy. We're spending all this time trying to control what people see, but they're seeing through their filter anyway. So they're either going to see you as default or source based on their filter. So like, why are we tying ourselves in knots? But the thing is, this is the piece that Source wants you to know today, is if you can see yourself, and then you can just let that go, that obsession with figuring yourself out, then you can let it go, and you can actually focus your magic on your clients or potential clients or the people who want and need to connect with you. When you're so worried about yourself, you're focused on yourself. What do I say? How do I show up? What's the right words? Where's the right thing? What's my brand? Right? And when you're doing that, you can't show up and use your magic to serve your clients. And your magic knows how to serve. Like, you actually know so much. You are the expert, right? You're marketing yourself as an expert in something. So be the freaking expert, right? But we're like, oh, I'm an expert and I can help you this, except for I'm going to have someone else tell me how. Right? It's like, it makes no sense. I've done it. I have done it. So this is no judgment, but this is what we do.
Yeah.
And so I see this so often when people are so concerned about themselves because they've never been seen and witnessed, which most of us weren't, right? So we have to do this work for ourselves to be seen and witnessed and name and claim our magic. Then we can stop obsessing about ourselves and actually focus that on our client. And so then there's two more sacred structures. I'm not going to dive into them, but I'm just going to share what they are. Money is the next one. And then model, right? Your business model, like what do you actually offer in your business, and how do people flow through your business? So money, like there's a whole lot of default energy around money. So that really connects to energy. Like we need to shift our beliefs in order to receive more money. That's a piece of this work. But when we're in sourced energy, money is just math, right? It's like, what do I desire? What do I desire to live as my life? How many clients do I desire? And it's math. And so, right, when it's not emotional, it's just math. Mm-hmm. But the model piece, this is what's so interesting. So there are, I've sort of discovered that I've carved out my expertise around model, right? And having a business model that actually supports transformation.
Yeah.
There's a lot I know about this that it's almost like I just know a lot about it and I didn't even know how much I know about it. And there are, things that are proven to work that you want to learn about, but you have to use your own aligned energy and expression and magic to develop the business model that actually serves your client. Mm-hmm. And I want people, if you take anything, it's like you are an expert and you're just not trusting yourself because of some energy block. Right? And it's not really even a block. It's just the language we use. But there's an energy pattern that has had you not trust yourself. And when you're in sourced energy, you trust yourself, you believe yourself, you receive from source, and you can use that as an expert in your business. It's not off limits. And Ashlie, I know that's been a part of your journey, is actually learning to trust yourself as a badass businesswoman.
That's right.
Yeah. So we're going to welcome the guests, but Ashlie, is there anything else present about this right now?
I mean, I feel super lit up about the model piece because that's been such a fun shift in my own business that once the energy moves, like you said, the money and the model they kind of take care of themselves. Inside of sourced energy, you create a model that nurtures the sourced energy, that allows for the sourced energy. And it's so much easy. It's such an easier way to create. And it's so much more fun to deliver.
Yeah. And people might be saying, well, but I don't know, because you may not know the options, right? Yeah. But what you will know is you'll know then what kind of expertise you need in your corner. Mm-hmm. As opposed to deciding what your business is going to look like because this is the most recent Facebook ad I've seen.
Right. And that can be such an easy place to get stuck, is trying to it's another figure out how you're supposed to do it. And it's like, don't worry about that yet. Let's shift the energy and then we can create that like that.
Exactly. And that's what we've seen. And that's what we've done with our Source Magic business. And that really is the goal. It's like, center you and your magic as the expert, and shift the energy so that inner expertise can come up and play with us as experts in business model to help that really come through. I see a comment here. The moment I got myself out of the way at my recent retreat, stopped trying to be something, it all got easy and just flowed beautifully. I still don't know what the magic is. So maybe I just need to let go of needing to name it and just trust it. Yeah. Yes. You don't need to name it, or you can call it, let's see, stop trying to be something. You can call it easy flowing magic, right? Like those are the words you used. You can call it that. And understanding how it works and then starting to think about, well, how could that work with individual clients? How could that work in my marketing? If I get out of the way and stop trying to be something, how could that work in all these different places? It doesn't have to have a name, but understanding it really does make a difference. Mm-hmm. Okay, so without further ado, I want to bring on our special guests because they're way more fun and juicy and interesting. So let me see how I make this look with all of us. Yay! Welcome, ladies. Okay, so I want to introduce you to Dr. Davia Shepherd. Davia is a doctor of chiropractic. She also runs a community called Ladies Power Lunch, which is a really powerful, I know a lot of people watching here probably are in Davia's community, where she connects business owners and facilitates amazing conversations and connections to help grow your business.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Davia.
Mm-hmm.
We also have Veronica Wirth. Veronica is a brand shaman, and she hosts a community called the Athena Matrix, which I am sure she's going to tell us a little bit about today. Previously an esteemed graphic designer and pastry chef, but now centering her magic in a really, really fun and beautiful way. Thank you for being here, Veronica. And then we have the beautiful and talented Laura West. She is the founder of the Joyful Business and super multi-magical and totally, I'll say, revamping the way that she does business. But something I want you to know about Laura is that she is a real innovator. And she's also what you would call the real deal, right? And I'm guessing everybody here maybe relates to that or has been referred to as that, as the real deal. But Laura has been a coach for quite some time and consistently innovating and doing her inner work and leading in what's possible in this industry. So I'm really, really excited to have all three of you here, and I would love to just open it up in this conversation of A is for action, right? Getting out of our head and onto the court. All three of you participated together in our first ever Source Magic Business program, and got the experience of getting onto the court and really seeing how your energy and expression were showing up and how they could be expanded. So who would like to go first to share a little bit about what shifted for you in really understanding your magic and putting it into the court? Who feels drawn to go first?
I'll chime in. Yeah, for me, I think one of the biggest things was really getting clear and honest with how my energy wanted to show up and how my magic wanted to show up. And I was, even though I had come a long way in developing my business and delivering things in better and better ways that fit well for me, was still kind of trying to do it in a way that I thought I should, and mimicking models that I saw that were the closest thing that I thought would work. So they worked part way, but I really got clear in the program how my energy wanted to show up, and out of that found a different business model. And when we hit on it, it was like, this is the thing. This is the thing. It was really as soon as I landed on it, everything changed and everything felt so much different and so much easier.
So something really cool that happened was, I don't want to give away the experiential part of the program because you got to experience it and be surprised by it in order for it to be most potent. But Veronica, in the experiential piece, you actually practiced, we'll call it, showing up in a different way. And you were able to get some feedback about this sourced energy, this sourced expression of yours. How did that help you, getting that feedback in the safe space? How did it help you to move forward and really be in action?
Yeah, I would say it was probably one of the larger pieces of a catalyst to this shift, because I knew from my perspective, I was familiar with the experience to some degree and delivering my magic that way, but it was getting the feedback from people, how it landed for them, what they received, and then hearing that back. That was an activator for me. It really shifted everything. And not just from, it was not just getting it from one person, but from the group. It was like everything kind of opened up at that point. There were a lot of ahas, and it really was a catalyst that couldn't have happened in any other way, I believe. Yeah.
And so Veronica, it has vibration magic and expression magic, and really combines those two in a really unique way, where how she shows up vibrationally and what comes through vocally is, I'll call it an activator or a vibrational attunement for people in all kinds of really cool ways. And so you knew that, but like you didn't really know it in your bones.
Exactly. And I had never done it for more than one person at a time. So it was a little scary, to do that. But it was also so important that I knew that it was an absolutely safe space to do that. And that allowed it to come through in the way that it did, and allowed me to feel safe doing that.
Yeah. And what's opened up since?
Oh, wow. I have to say, so many things, but I feel like the most profound for me is just this continued, it's like opening the floodgates for me. The way that my gifts are growing and evolving weekly almost is, it's very accelerated. I feel like I finally got into the arena that fits how my magic wants to play. Instead of, and that, as you and Ashlie were just talking about, it's really I feel like it's such a key point, which is it's building, it's getting into your magic first and really letting that dictate everything else, instead of trying to make your magic fit into something that we think, or exists already. That is just, to me, that's the number one game changer.
I love that so much. And I relate to that, of getting in the arena of how my magic wants to play. And I know I've shared about this in various places around getting the message around the sensation magic and moving physical energy. And it's like, once I put myself in that arena by creating a certain type of session that I was doing, that let me, the floodgates open. And it's like, oh, I see. And all of this work that we're experiencing right now came from that. Had I not done that, this wouldn't be there. And you don't know where it's leading you, because I was immediately thinking, well, I don't want to do healing sessions with my hands, but I didn't know where it was leading me. Right. And so had I not taken the steps, I would have never known. So I love that idea, guys. Get in the arena of how your magic wants to play and open the floodgates. So good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Davia or Laura, who wants to go next?
Yeah, I can go. Tagging on to what Veronica was talking about. I was just thinking about this. Like, I feel like I did a flip, like a whole flip with my business. Whereas as a business coach, I kept putting business out there first, but then I was always doing this two-step, like, but I'm not about traditional business. I have expansion magic, and I'm about abundance and creativity and possibilities. But I took that kind of for granted, like, oh, everybody's like that, and it was like the air that I breathe. That's like, oh, of course you get that. But yet I was never quite comfortable with the traditional business model of being a business coach. And so I've really, what Veronica was saying about start with your magic first. It's like, as I've started this year with owning, like, this is something extraordinary. This is something special, my magic. And really starting with getting into that magic, it's like other things just unfold. And it's like, oh, of course I'm not like other business coaches. I don't know if I told you this, but I did a survey of my private clients. And I said, what other coaches do I remind you of? And they were like, it was like crickets. And finally somebody sent back an email and said, the whole reason I hired you is because you're not like other business coaches. And that's because I was putting my magic first, but not really owning it. And so as I've made that shift to really own expansion magic about abundance and money and possibilities, I mean, I'm probably going to have my best year I've had in, out of 20 years this year.
Wow.
I think that's part testament.
Ooh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Laura, I feel like what I'm hearing is that idea of you've always been doing it and doing things differently, but it's like people wouldn't really know it unless they kind of got in. So it's like that sneaking the magic in the back door.
Yes. Yeah. Once I got into my community, they were like, oh my God, this is so amazing. They don't ever leave. Yeah. But I didn't lead with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I so get that.
Yeah. And now I've shifted that. It's that shifting. And it takes a reminder, right? A reminder to not play from that default energy that seems like it's safe because it's uncomfortably comfortable. And yet it's really not safe, right? Because it keeps you really small. And so coming from sourced energy is where, the possibilities are in the expansion, which is what I love, right?
Oh, I want to underline that. It takes a reminder because it doesn't matter. So this happens in a cycle, right? The shift from default to sourced energy, the way I teach it, it happens in a cycle. And it's not always like we're analyzing the cycle, but we can really look at, okay, I integrated a new energy level and in this last 6 months or in this last year, and then I'm going to do it again. And then I'm going to do it again. And no matter how many times you've worked through the cycle, the reminder is so important because we still want to return to the pretense of safety.
Yeah, it's so natural, so it's like you need, being in a community where you can cultivate that and practice that is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you're the expansion magic, and you said, well, everybody's like that. All business coaches are like that. And so I think you've come to an awareness that that's not true. This is a common thing with expansion magicians. One, thinking I can't talk about it because we don't like talking about money, but also not applying it to themselves or not really seeing it clearly for themselves. What advice would you give to someone who's an expansion magician who is having that thought of, well, doesn't everybody know that or see that?
Yeah. There is it's an invitation, really, an invitation to own it more and to start with yourself and to get into, before you do anything, pursuing all these ideas that you have, it's like get into the expansion magic of abundance and possibilities, that place that you know so well that you can feel it in your body. And from there, it's like start creating. And that takes practice over and over. And it's like it's always there, but there's a shift. It's almost like I'm experiencing as the expansion magic's kind of out here. But when I brought it into my body, there's a different way that I even stand, and a different way I approach things. And then it's so much more is available and so much easier. Yeah, because it's just so congruent and so aligned that people are just like, I want more.
Yeah, that's awesome. It makes me think of what Ashlie said about embodiment earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, and it can be so easy to put it out there. I think that happens with expansion. It also happens a lot with compassion, where everybody's out helping other people versus bringing it in, and like starting with self-compassion and self-love. Start with self-expansion, like, oh, I can own this. Yeah. I can own this. And I can tell you guys, I had to learn expansion magic. This was not a natural for me. I had to really learn it. And I paid a lot of money to learn it. And just like this theme of this conversation, A is for action, is not something you learn intellectually. It's something you learn on the court. So for me, I didn't learn it by thinking about money or bigger business, I learned it by spending money and then going, of course the universe supports me in this, and then seeing the universe support me in this. And I would have never had the courage to do that without the support of someone like you, Laura, who's like holding that truth that the universe is abundant.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
now I can hold. Now I can hold that for our clients. But in the beginning, I definitely did not have that.
Yeah. And when it's so natural, it's, I can hold it for other people, but it's the holding it for yourself, like you're talking about, that's like, oh yeah, I've got to start inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bring it inside.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. So everyone watching, if you guys have questions for our guests, do pop them in the chat. And Dr. Davia, what is present for you that you'd like to share? How did your business model and energy and expression shift in our time in this program?
Thanks, Darla. Hi, everybody. So when I did the quiz, the magic quiz, it wasn't surprising to me that expression was my magic. It is so, I was talking to somebody earlier, could have been you, Ashlie, maybe, about how I feel sometimes like a fireman. You know how people run away from the fire and the fireman runs towards the fire? I run towards the stage when people are like totally afraid of having public speaking be a part of the way that they conduct their business. But here's the thing though, Darla. It's really, really interesting because as much as I embrace that expression, see, I was at a loss for words just now, and expression's my magic. What's that about? Anyway, as much as I was happy to embrace the fact that expression is my magic, there's a little piece of it that was a little difficult for me to embody. Growing up, I always had a sense, like a knowing, like a ability to really be aware of what's going on or what's next. Some people call it intuition. I did a session and it showed up that way, but making that part of my business, I would kind of do what Laura would do, is I would sneak it in the background, So if we would be, for example, having an interview on Ladies Power Launch or something like that, and something would come up for me, I would just sneak it in the background, and there would be no way that I would share that as part of my magic or part of what comes forward. And it was really nice to be able to be in a group where that part of me was integrated with the whole of what being expression magic is all about. That felt right.
Amazing. And Davia, what would you say has shifted? And, one of the things, I'll just say, one of the things I would say is in the program, it became very clear to me that you need more airtime, that your expression magic needs more time and space, right? And you're so good at featuring everybody. What would you say about that idea of giving your expression magic more airtime?
Well, I agree with you, Darla, and it's the same thing that I'm talking about, allowing that intuition to come through on its own, as opposed to squeezing it in the cracks in between an interview with somebody else, but to actually make time for being the central person on our show, being the main event, being.
Yes. And how does that feel, or what do you see possible?
Well, the timing was perfect. For one, like I said before, I always have I have great intuition. And we'd had conversation back and forth because you're so near and dear to my heart. And when you suggested that I step into the program, the Source Business program, it was a no-brainer. Like, I had that intuitive hit that yes, this was an absolutely yes for me. There was something here that I needed to uncover. And I think the thing that I needed to uncover is the fact that my intuition is not something that needs to be hidden. It is not at all something that I need to hide. It's something that I have shared quietly and privately with maybe one-on-one patients or one-on-one clients. It's something that I've hidden in between conversations in our ladies power lunch interviews, but it has never been something that has taken center stage. And guess what? There is value to it, and it does have value, and there is a place for it. And looking at business models, there's a place where it can fit. And like Veronica was saying earlier, actually seeing where it can fit just clicks. It makes something click and allows you to be able to move forward in a way that was not possible before.
Yeah. Yeah. Ashlie, you relate to that, the click?
Totally.
Yeah, me too.
Delicious.
That's so beautifully said. I'm going to underline one thing Davia said, and then we do have one question. If anybody needs to pop off, feel free, but we're going to just do this one question and then we're going to wrap. So I have posted a link to Source Magic Business. If you want to work with me and Ashlie for 10 weeks, there's a link there. If you're not sure and you want to book a call with Ashlie, I also posted that link in the thread.
Great.
So one of the things Davia said that I wanted to underline is, she said I was using my intuition kind of secretly with patients or with clients. And I relate to this. I used to use it secretly on retreat. Like if I look back, okay, one of the reasons I got into retreats, I love creating experiences for people. So that is a part of me. But also it's like a safe space, right? Like it's a limited, it's not being broadcast out there on the internet, right? So it's like, okay, we can play here. It's safe. And I think Davia, for you, intuitively knowing one-on-one and with a client, like, okay, it's safe to like share my intuition here and I can sneak it in. And on the one hand, that's great. It's amazing training ground. Like for me, my retreats would help me try things that then I would eventually put into my public marketing, right? Or into my book or whatever. So it's great. It's not bad. And my immediately thought when Davia said that was, gosh, think how much work we go through to hide our intuition. Like you've got a whole, degree as a chiropractor and bought a business and have all these clients so you can have these little rooms where you can meet with people and share your intuition, right? Like think how much work that is. And there's not a good, bad, right or wrong, right? But it's like, wow, now what, right? Now that you've tested it out and it's real and it's helped people, how could you actually make that more available? How can you make it more available? And I think that's, I'm just discerning this now, but that's a big shift that's happened for me this year because of taking retreats off the table with COVID. Is, I had a bigger event and we did it online. And so really, really cool. Thank you for that. So here's our question. How do you know your magic is a natural ability or developed through life challenges? Does anyone want to answer that? I'll leave it up there. Laura.
Yeah, I was reading that in the chat a minute ago, and I thought, does it really matter? That's what I thought. I was like, to me, the answer is actually yes. Like some of it's natural ability, and some things are honed because of things you've gone through in your life, and you've had to develop. I was sensitive as a child, and I developed more sensitivity because I, reactive parents or a sensitive mom, and so I think to me it's both. And it's more about, for me, it's been more about instead of just, oh, isn't that interesting? I have this magic over there, like bringing it in and saying, yes, I have this magic, and really creating from there.
Yeah. Did anyone want to add to that?
I agree with Laura. I would say that it is natural ability and it is honed through life challenges. That would be how I would approach it. I would say that we are all, every single one of us, and this is a conversation that I have so very often, we're all so brilliant and somehow as we go through life trains us out of our brilliance. But if we are ever able to, and I feel like this is one of the reasons why this is such a valuable program for me, if we are ever able to embrace that natural ability again, and then reinforce that with the life challenges that we have gone through, then what we will be able to share with the clients or the people who come to work with us will be even so much more rich, so much more abundant.
Yeah.
Oh, love that.
Yeah, I'll third that too. It's I think my response was exactly the same as Laura's. I was like, does it really matter where it comes from? But I kind of think of it as a recipe. It's like, yeah, you come in with certain natural predilections and abilities, and your life sculpts that by all the experiences you have. And one of the things that I'm really present to is that because of that equation, it continues to evolve throughout your life. And that's the beauty of it, right? It's your magic is not a static thing. It's a constantly living, evolving part, expression of you and all that you are, all the levels of you.
And that's so good because we, the moment we get attached to, okay, now I've figured out all my magic, exactly how it works. And, then we're going to be drawn to grow again. And that is, the cycle of transformation. And that's why it's got to be created in the moment, right? A source energy can become a default down the line if we get too attached to it. Such a great build.
Yep. Too much knowing cuts off the magic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then we go into inaction again. One thing I was thinking in this, I agree 100% doesn't matter. The other thing is, what if it is all developed? What if those are one and the same? So if we think about this idea that we are souls that came into this life for a particular experience, for a particular expression, our life challenges actually, like we were born into those families that didn't see us. We chose, we came in and were born into those families that didn't see us so that we could develop this natural magic, right? Like, what about that? Would it free you? How would that free you, right? To not judge the challenges, but to actually say, whoa, my soul was so wise to throw me into that very strange family in a town of 500 in northern Minnesota. Like, wow, what wisdom.
And to use your term, Darla, it's like this is our divine curriculum, right? It's a beautiful, beautiful gift. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Ashlie, anything for you as we close here?
I'm actually feeling like just delighted to be with you ladies. And I'm like, oh gosh, it's so fun.
It went so fast, right?
Yeah. Well, and hearing how, like, what you've been doing with what you took from the program and how it's showing up for you, it's just like, oh man, how delicious is it to support people in unleashing their magic and to be surrounded by badass women who are doing cool things in the world. Like, such a beautiful thing to be in community like that. So no, it's just an invitation to those of you that are resonating with our conversation and you're feeling yourself maybe lean in a little bit. I invite you to come play with us, come create, let us support you in really unleashing your magic into the world and into your business.
Thank you. Yes. So I popped these links in the chat.
Perfect.
If someone wants to enroll, 2 spots. At the beginning of this call, there were 2 spots. So I don't know. And then if you aren't sure and you want to chat with Ashlie, you can book a call with her with this Calendly link as well. So that is under the video. I so agree with you, Ashlie, and I want to thank Veronica, Laura, and Davia for giving your precious life force energy and your just beautiful souls to this conversation. More and more it becomes revealed to me how special it is, what's being co-created in this community at this time. And for me, I've seen such a shift from all of the things that I was taught. Laura, I know we've talked about some of the things we were both taught about how to be the expert and the guru and the right, into this place where we are pilgrimaging side by side and each expressing our magic in a unique way that supports one another. And I just know I'm a conduit and a holder of this work. I'm so grateful that Ashlie is giving her life force to this work. And it really, really is special. And each of you are so special to me. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Congratulations to whoever takes those 2 spots. By the way, we cap at 12, so it's intimate. We know you, we know your business. We really dive in. It includes a virtual retreat where we get to spend some extended time together. So check it out. I love you all. Thank you, and have just a magical Tuesday.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Bye, ladies.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.